Hello, my public to private pivoters, and welcome to this training session. Today, we're going to talk about one of those interview questions that, on the surface, it sounds simple, but it can trip you up if you're not prepared. The question is, why do you want to leave the public sector? Now, let me tell you the truth. That question is not just about why you're leaving. It's also about whether you understand where you are going. It's about whether you can explain your career move with clarity, confidence, and emotional control. And it is definitely about whether the employer hears growth, readiness, and value, or whether they hear frustration, bitterness, and escape. Because there's a difference between saying I'm running from something and saying I'm moving towards something. That difference matters. So today I want to help two groups of public sector professionals. First, those of you who are still employed in the public sector, but you're ready to pivot to the private sector. Second, those of you who were forced out, laid off, displaced, or otherwise impacted by the federal restructuring or organizational changes. Both groups need a strong answer, but the strategy is not exactly the same. So let's get into it. First, I want you to understand what the interviewer is really asking. When they ask, why do you want to leave the public sector? They may be wondering a few things. They may be wondering, can this person adjust to our pace? They may be wondering, will this person be too bureaucratic? They may be wondering, does this person understand business priorities? And or they may be wondering, are they leaving because they are burned out, angry, or unable to adapt? Now, that may sound unfair because many public sector professionals are some of the most dedicated, resourceful, mission driven, and resilient professionals in the workforce. But you still have to manage perception. That is part of the pivot. Private sector employees do not always understand the complexity of public sector work. They may not understand that you have managed high volume operations, legal compliance, sensitive stakeholders, limited budgets, public accountability, elected officials, audits, policy changes, union environments, or community impact. So your job is to translate, not defend, translate. That is the first lesson. Do not go into your interview trying to prove that public sector is just as good as the private sector. That is not your assignment. Your assignment is to show how your public sector experience has prepared you to solve private sector problems. Now, let's talk about the first group, and that's the group who is still working in the public sector but wants to pivot to the private sector. So, if you're still working in the public sector, your answer should sound intentional, not desperate, not restless, not bored, but intentional. You want to make it clear that you value your public sector experience, but you're ready for a new environment where you can apply your skills in a different way. Here is a strong structure you can use. Start with appreciation, then explain growth, then connect to the role, then show value. So your answer may sound like this. I valued my public sector experience because it allowed me to build strong skills in compliance, stakeholder management, service delivery, and navigating complex systems. At this stage in my career, I'm ready to apply those skills in a more business driven environment where I can contribute to operational efficiency, customer outcomes, and organizational growth. This role stood out to me because it connects directly with the work I've already done, while also giving me the opportunity to expand my impact into a faster moving, results focused setting. That is a clean answer. It does not insult your current employer. It does not make you sound like you're escaping. It does not make you sound like you woke up last week and decided to try something new. It says, I have experience. I have direction. I have value. Now let's make it even more specific. If you're an HR professional, you might say, I've spent much of my career helping public sector organizations manage employee relations, compliance, training, and policy implementation. I'm proud of that work. What I'm looking for now is the opportunity to build the same judgment, structure, and people centered approach into an environment where HR is closely tied to business strategy, workforce planning, and organizational performance. Now, if you're an IT professional, you might say, my public sector experience has taught me how to support systems that affect large groups of users, often with limited resources and high accountability. I'm now looking to bring that technical discipline and service mindset into a private sector environment where I can work closely or closer to innovation, product management improvement, and scalable technology solutions. Now, if you're in program management, you could say something like, my public sector work has given me deep experience managing programs with multiple stakeholders, strict guidelines, and measurable outcomes. I'm now interested in applying that experience in a private sector environment where I can help drive execution, improve processes, and support business growth. So, do you hear the pattern? You're not saying, I hate red tape. You're saying, I know how to manage complexity. You're not saying, I'm tired of government. You're saying, I am ready to apply my skills in a new environment. You are not saying, I need more money. You're saying, I am ready for broader impact, growth, and contribution. Now, let me pause here and say something very important. It's okay if compensation is a part of your reason. It's okay if advancement is a part of your reason. It is okay if you are tired of waiting for a promotion that may never come. But that is not the lead story in the interview. The lead story is the value that you bring. Lead with the value you bring, not the frustration that pushed you. Now, let's talk about our second group. And our second group are the public sector employees who were forced out during federal restructuring. And understandably, this group needs special care because when your departure was not truly or fully your choice, there can be grief attached to that. There can be anger, there can be embarrassment, there can be fear, there can be a sense of betrayal, especially if you gave years of service and then suddenly found yourself displaced. I want to say this very clearly, so listen to me. Losing your job due to restructuring does not mean you failed. A position can be eliminated even when the person in the position performed well. A budget can change, an agency can reorganize, priorities can shift, leadership can change. That is not the same thing as poor performance. So, in your interview, your job is to tell the truth, but tell it with professionalism and forward motion. Your answer should be calm, brief, and future focused. So here is a strong answer. My position was impacted by federal restructuring, so my transition was not due to performance. While that was certainly a significant change, I am using this moment to be very intentional about the next chapter of my career. My public sector experience gave me strong skills in accountability, compliance, stakeholder service, and managing complex work. I'm now focused on bringing those strengths into a private sector organization where I can contribute quickly, learn the business, and add measurable value. So you see, that answer does several things. It tells the truth, it does not overshare, it does not sound defensive, it does not blame, it does not invite the interviewer into a long political conversation. And please hear me on this. An interview is not the place to process the trauma of the restructuring. That does not mean your feelings are not valid. They are very valid. But the interview has a purpose, and that purpose is to help the employer understand why you are a strong candidate for their role. So do not spend 5 minutes explaining everything that happened. Do not name every leader you disagreed with. Do not walk the interviewer through every unfair decision. Do not say, after what they did to us. Do not say, the government is a mess. Do not say, I just need something stable. Even if you feel that way, especially if you feel that way, because the interviewer is listening for emotional readiness. They are asking themselves, can this person join our team and move forward? So your answer needs to say, yes, I have been through change. And yes, I'm ready to contribute. Here's another version of an appropriate answer if you're a member of Group 2. Like many federal employees, my role was affected by restructuring. I'm grateful for the experience I gained in public service, and I'm proud of the work I did. At the same time, this transition has given me the opportunity to reassess where my skills can create the most value. I'm especially interested in this role because it allows me to use my background in complex operations, stakeholder support, and problem solving in a business environment that values execution and results. Now, that is strong. It acknowledges the situation, but it does not sit in the situation. That is the key. Acknowledge it, but do not dwell there. So you also need, well, regardless of which group you're in, you need to avoid sounding bitter. So let's talk about that. Because bitterness can sneak into your voice before it ever shows up in your words. It can show up in your tone. It can show up in your facial expression. It can show up in sarcasm. It can show up when you say, well, you know how government is. It can show up when you laugh, but that laugh has an edge to it. And I say this with love. Employers pick up on that. So beware. They may not know exactly what they are hearing, but they can sense when someone has not made peace with their transition. So before the interview, you have to do some internal work. You need two versions of your story. One version is the full truth. That version is for your journal, your coach, your counselor, your trusted friend, your spouse, or your support system. That version can include the disappointment, the anger, the confusion, the grief, and the fear. But the second version is your interview version. That version is truthful but disciplined. It is not fake, it is focused. And here's the difference: the full truth may be, I gave that organization years of my life and I feel like they discarded me. The interview truth is, My role was impacted by restructuring, and I'm now focused on bringing my experience into an organization where I can continue contributing at a high level. Both can be true, but only one belongs in the interview. Let me give you a simple test. Before you say something in an interview, ask yourself, does this help the employer trust me? Does this show that I'm ready for the role? Does this connect my experience to their needs? Does this show maturity? And if your answer to any of those questions is no, do not say it. You've heard, err on the side of caution. Now, how do you keep bitterness from leaking out? First, name what happened without making it your identity. You can say, my role was impacted. You do not have to say, I was thrown away. Second, separate the event from your value. You lost a role. You did not lose your skills. You did not lose your intelligence. You did not lose your work ethic. You did not lose your ability to lead, manage, analyze, communicate, train, build, solve, or serve. Third, practice your answer out loud, not in your head. Yes, out loud. Why? Because your mouth needs to learn the new story. Your nervous system needs to hear you say it calmly. You need to be able to answer without your voice cracking, your face tightening, or your answer turning into a testimony. Fourth, shift from what happened to me to what I'm ready to do next. That is the move from wound to wisdom, from disappointment to direction, from loss to leverage. And no, that does not happen overnight, but it can happen with practice. So, both groups, whether you're a member of group one who's still working in public sector and want to make the pivot, or group two who was forced out during the restructuring, you need to avoid saying certain things. So do not say, I just want to get out of government. Do not say, I'm tired of bureaucracy. Do not say, there is no opportunity where I am. Do not say, I need more money. Do not say, I was laid off, so I'm applying everywhere. Do not say, I do not care what I do as long as it is not public sector. Those answers may be honest in the moment, but they do not position you well for becoming the selected candidate. Private sector employers want to hire someone who is moving with purpose. They want to hear that you understand their business needs. They want to hear that you can adapt. They want to hear that you can produce results. So give them that. So here's the formula I want you to remember and listen carefully. It is respect the past, explain the shift, connect to the role, emphasize value. Say it with me. Respect the past, explain the shift, connect to the role, emphasize value. And here's what that sounds like. I respect and appreciate the experience I gained in public sector or public service. It helped me build strong skills in accountability, compliance, communication, and serving diverse stakeholders. At this point, I'm ready to apply those skills in a private sector environment where I can contribute to business outcomes, improve processes, and continue growing professionally. This role is a strong fit because it allows me to bring my background in complex problem solving, and service delivery into an organization that is focused on measurable results? You see, that answer works. You can tailor it to your specific background and experience. You can make it sound more like you, but that is the foundational structure. So let me close with my final encouragement to you. Leaving the public sector does not mean you are abandoning your mission. It may mean your mission is expanding. You can still serve people in the private sector. You can still solve meaningful problems. And you can still lead with integrity. You can bring stability, wisdom, and accountability into rooms that desperately need it. And for those of you who were forced out, I want you to hear me especially. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience. You are starting from resilience. You are starting from a career that has already taught you how to navigate pressure, change, complexity, and uncertainty. And now your job is to package that experience in language that private sector hiring managers can understand. Not smaller, not watered down, but translated. So when they ask, why do you want to leave the public sector? You do not have to panic. You can answer with confidence. You can say, I'm grateful for what I learned. I am clear about where I am going, and I am ready to bring value here. That's the purpose. Calm, clear, professional, forward looking. Remember, your next employer is not just listening to what happened, they're listening for who you have become because of it. So prepare your answer, practice it out loud, release the bitterness, keep the wisdom, and walk into that interview like someone who knows their value because you do. Career success to you. Go get your new job and grab the bonus that I'm going to drop in the description or the bio below. It will bless you and it will help you along your journey. I'll see you in the next training session. Bye.